Hello everyone, this is Professor Sexton with a video lecture about preparing for your midterm exam. So first of all, let me remind you that your midterm exam is going to be available next week from 6 a.m. on Thursday, October 27 to 11:59 p.m. on Saturday, October 29th. So you can log on and start doing it as early as 6 a.m. on Thursday, October 27, and it will be open until Saturday, October 29th at 11:59 p.m. However, let me tell you this. It has a 3-hour time limit, so it has to be completed in 3 hours. What will happen is this. Once you start it, the clock starts counting down. And even though Blackboard gives you the option to save and come back, even if you do that, the time is still ticking. So my best advice to you is only starting when you have the full 3 hours in which to take it. Most of you are not going to need all 3 hours, but just because you have it, you should take advantage of it. What this video lecture does is to go over the three parts of the midterm exam and to help you prepare for it. Some of this work you've already done, especially part one, and so that will be familiar to you. So let me begin by telling you what part one is. For part one, what you're going to do is you're going to have 10 sentences. And each of these 10 sentences are going to have some type of mistake. So either it's going to, there are comma splice, run on, or fragment. And what you'll have to do is you'll have to correct that mistake. You've already done this in one of the quizzes. So remember the comma splice, run on, fragment 2 quiz, where you were given sentences that were either comma splices, run-ons, or fragments, and you had to correct them. This is what part one is. It is exactly the same. There'll be 10 of those. They'll count 2 points each for a total of 20 points. What you may want to do is you may want to review the document on common sentence errors. I'm bringing that up now. So you see that document now. It tells you what a comma splice is, but more importantly, it tells you the 4 ways to correct a comma splice. It tells you what a run-on sentence is. More importantly, the 4 ways to correct a run-on sentence, and then it tells you what a fragment is. You've already done this, so most of you will be familiar with this. Also, I want to share one other document with you as well, because one of the options is to use a coordinating conjunction. But keep in mind that there are 7 coordinating conjunctions, and not all 7 coordinating conjunctions mean the same thing. So you want to make sure that if you do use this option, that you're using the right coordinating conjunction. And what this sheet does is it tells you, what and does, but, yet, or, for, so, or nor. So all of these allow you to look at that and see which coordinating conjunction is correct. Also, let me add that all the documents that I'm sharing with you on this video lecture are in a folder in course documents called Preparing for the Midterm. So if you go to that Preparing for the Midterm exam folder, every document that I just shared here is also in that document, so you can see it. Also, for the midterm, if you like, what you can do is you can print out or save those documents to your computer so you can toggle back and forth to them. So when you're doing part one and you need to know the ways to correct comma splices or run-ons or fragments, I have no problem whatsoever with you going back and looking at that document and using that as a way to make sure that you're correcting them, you're doing them correctly. So it's not an issue for me whatsoever. So that's part one. Oh, also with part one, what you might want to do is you might want to go back and see the quiz that you took, comma splices, run-on, and fragments 2. I'll make sure that that is opened up for you so that you'll be able to access it and you can look at what you put down and what was right and what was wrong. And so that way you'll be better prepared for that. Part two is on using quotations. And the video lecture that we had for today was just on using quotations. So we're just starting to go over this. But let me just share that document with you again. So this is the document on using quotation. And I've just gone over this in a video lecture that I recorded that will be made available for you. And what I'll do is in the content folder, I will put that video in that content folder as well, so you can access it from two places. But also what I've done is this. I've given you a view of what the midterm part 2 is going to look like. So this is a practice. Sorry that it takes forever for these to come up. So this is what part 2 is going to look like. And let me just read over it. So for this part, you will be given an introductory phrase or sentence and a quotation. You will need to incorporate correctly the quotation B with the phrase or sentence A. You must also provide the accurate parenthetical citation. So for instance, this one, we use the introductory phrase A to incorporate the quotation B. It tells you where the quotation is from, page number, author's name, title of the essay, and then the same thing, an introductory sentence. Keep in mind that there's a difference here. So some will say phrase and some will say sentence. If it says sentence, that means that A is a complete sentence. And so when you join a complete sentence to a quotation, all you do is put a colon. If it says phrase, that means that the quotation is being incorporated into your sentence. So this is what it's going to look like. But what I've also done is I've given another document where I've given the answers with explanations. So we'll pull this up, take a look. So here, same questions from the last sheet. This is what the answer would look like. People are prone to obey because they believe, open quotation marks, my obedience makes me part of the power I worship, and hence I feel strong, close quotation marks, open parentheses, author's last name, page number, close parentheses, period. This is a phrase. Notice that there is no punctuation mark between the end of the introductory phrase and the quotation. Notice that the citation here has the author's last name and page number. That's because the author's last name is not included in the introductory sentence. If you look at the second one, this one is slightly different. This one reads, King describes the difference between the two laws, colon, because you have a complete sentence, then you have the quotation. Then notice that with the parenthetical citation is only the page number. And the reason why is because the author's last name is already in the sentence. With this part, do not overthink it, do not overcomplicate it. Time and time again, I have students who want to change the sentences, add a lot of words to the sentences. You don't need to do any of that. None of the two parts on the midterm exam, there's no need for you to add any words to either of those. It's just a matter of connecting one part to the next part, using the correct punctuation mark, and making sure that you're doing the parenthetical citation correctly. What I've done is I've also created a quiz on using quotations so that you can do that quiz to give you practice. What I've done with the quiz too is I have this quiz, I'm having it have multiple chances for you to take it, but also normally like quizzes are due on Saturday, October 22nd. I'm going to extend the due date for this quiz, and I'm going to extend it until the Tuesday before the exam. Sorry, I'm looking at my calendar again. So the exam is going to be available on Thursday, October 27th. I'm going to extend this quiz so it will be available to you to do until Tuesday, October 25th at 11:59 p.m. And the only reason that I'm doing that is it gives you opportunity to practice, and then it also gives me opportunity to grade them and let you know if you're on the right track. So when you get to part 2, you'll know how to do that part. So part 1, part 2 should be quite easy. These are things that you've already done. Part 3 is going to be the only new part of it. Part 3 is a essay. Initially, what the plan was to use some of the essays that we've already read in class. for the part, but then as I was looking at the essays, I didn't feel like they were strong enough to create a really decent response. And so what I've done is I've gone back to some that I used to use. So what I've done is I provided this. Let me caution you something about this. This is a practice. So you'll see here, there's an essay here, The Truth About Grit. This is not the one that you will respond to on the midterm. So when you take the midterm, be sure you're not responding to this one. The essay on the midterm will be a different type of essay. It'll be roughly the same length. So you look at this one, we're looking at what, 4 short paragraphs. So the one for the midterm exam will also be equally like 4 or maybe 5 short paragraphs. But I cannot reiterate enough, do not write on this one for the midterm, because if you do, that's not what the midterm is about. So let me just give you the instructions for it so you can have this already in your mind when you get to part 3. So what part 3 will tell you to do is read the passage and write an essay responding to the ideals it presents. And your essay, be certain to summarize the passage in your own words, stating the author's most important ideas. Develop your essay by identifying one ideal in the passage that you feel is significant and explain its significance. Support your claims with evidence or examples drawn from your own experiences or the experiences of family or friends. So here's what you need to do. After you've read the essay, find what you think is a very significant ideal in that essay. And then you need to explain why it's significant. And you don't want to just use what the author states. So don't use just what the author states. You want to use your own personal viewpoint of why it's significant. And then see this part here where it says support your claims with evidence or example drawn from your own experiences or the experiences of family or friends. So for this part, you cannot just repeat what is stated in the essay. So you can't just repeat or summarize the author's examples. You need to give your own. Now, they can be from your life or they can be from the lives of family or friends. If you have trouble getting started, here's an outline that might help you formulate your response here. Tell your reader what the author of the passage is saying. So what is the main point of that passage? What is the author's thesis statement? What is their argument? What are they trying to convince us of? Then in the body paragraph, tell your reader what you think about one of the author's ideas. So the author might give you 2 or 3 ideas, but pick one of them. Explain if you agree or disagree with the author. But first of all, explain the author's ideal. So like, for instance, if you were using this as an example, you say, Larry explains that grit is blah, blah, blah. He says this because of so, so, so. And then you switch and you tell me, or you explain why you agree or disagree with that. Agreeing is very difficult in these type of essays because with agreeing, we tend to rely on just repeating what the author has said in the source essay. So if you agree, you want to try to come up with your own examples or your own explanations of why you support what the author is saying. So try to look at new ways of looking at the issue that the author hasn't considered. The author of all these pieces are taking it from his or her perspectives, but maybe your perspective adds something to that. So don't be afraid to bring that in. Then give examples. You should have at least 2 that supports your view of the author's main ideas. Once again, these examples can be your own personal examples, but if the topic doesn't relate directly to you, they can be the examples of family or friends. And then for your conclusion, when you're ending the essay, why is this topic important to think about, and how have what you presented in the body paragraphs contributed to the way we think about the topic? So you want that conclusion to go back and to tell your readers how your argument has helped us move forward with this topic. So let me reiterate one more time. This is not the essay that you will write on for the midterm exam. This is only an example. So be sure that when you actually sit down to do the actual midterm exam that you don't write on this one. This is only for you to look at as a type of practice to see what the shape of the form of those essays will be. Um, I don't think it's a difficult midterm, but as I always tell my students about midterms and papers, I don't think any of them are difficult for two reasons. First of all, I made them up. Second of all, I'm not taking them. So, of course, they're easy to me. However, you do have time to prep, to think about the essays, to think about the midterm, practice, part one, practice part two, think about the ways that you would approach the essay topic. Um, if you have any questions about the midterm, if there's anything in this video lecture that is unclear, or you need me to go over something a little bit more in more detail by email, please feel free to send me an email and let me know, and I will do my very best. All right, hope you're well, and all the best for the midterm next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.